Hey everybody, welcome to The Loop, a podcast by Mosaic Church. It's Christmas time, and in today's episode, we're going to be discussing our 2021 Christmas series here at the church called Fear Not. This series is going to begin this weekend here at the church, and as always, I'm joined by Brandon Connor, our senior pastor, and we're glad that you're watching today. We've got an awesome episode planned for you, so stick around. More to come on that.
You're listening to The Loop, a podcast by Mosaic Church. The goal? To know Jesus a little better so we can live like him a little more. And now, here's today's host, Wes Feldner.
All right, welcome back to The Loop. My name is Wes Feldner. I'm the creative arts pastor here at Mosaic Church, and I'm joined by our senior pastor, Brandon Connor. Brandon, it's Christmas time.
Dude, I'm pretty jacked. I believe it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is.
And in a tough year, it's kind of nice to be rolling into the Christmas season.
That's right.
I believe I rolled into it a little bit earlier than you did.
You did.
I found out on 93.7, like you could start listening to Christmas music like 2 months ago.
Nope.
And so
Hard pass.
Yeah, I was all about it. Like I found myself one day rolling down the road. Top was off the Jeep. It was like 75 degrees outside, and I was jamming to Christmas music, and everybody was like,
How dare you?
Yeah. But I love it, man. It's just my favorite time of the year. Lots of great things happen. Time with family, awesome time as a church family, and so just love this time of the year.
What does Christmas time look like at your household?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Right after Thanksgiving, the Christmas decorations have to go up.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend who came over to our house one day, and he looked at the Christmas decorations that were up, and he literally said, "It looks like Santa vomited all over your house." And so when I say that Christmas decorations go up, I mean, my wife loves to decorate for Christmas, and so we do lots of decorations. We try to find a time and a way to be generous to people.
Yeah.
And so that's not just like Operation Christmas child shoe boxes. We try to do something for our Compassion Kid or our World Vision Kid, and just make sure that they have something special at Christmas. We try to be generous to other people who might be in need in our community.
That's awesome.
And then we spend a lot of time traveling, and so literally the day after our Christmas Eve services, we hop in the car and we have to drive on Christmas Day, which is kind of a bummer. But we make the drive up to see family on Christmas and spend some time in the Atlanta area and in Tennessee, and then we bounce back and get rolling onto a new year.
That's great.
Yeah, how about you guys?
Well, you kind of alluded to my Scrooge-ist side, I guess that would be the word.
Yeah.
I have, in my house, I have like a hard and fast rule about Christmas music. I don't like so like this morning, like I was sitting at the table having breakfast. Danielle was sitting there, and it was our morning routine. She's like reading her Bible. I'm like, having cereal, whatnot. And so like I'm sitting there like humming a Christmas song, and she's like, "See, you do like Christmas music." But like I have this rule about like no Christmas music until after Thanksgiving. Like that's my thing. Like
I get it.
And
I just
like,
hate it for you because you're missing out.
I just... Yeah, but they're wearing me down. It's like every year I feel like it creeps in sooner and sooner.
It really
and like
does.
I really think what happens is Danielle will listen to it during the day, and her and the kids will enjoy it. And then it's like, oh no, Dad's on his way home. We got to shut everything off. And so then everybody
That's
just
awesome. Yeah, it really, especially in the stores. It's like you go in the stores, and like I think it was October this year.
It's crazy.
So I'm like, okay, we're not just like getting out in front of it before Thanksgiving. We aren't even to Halloween yet, and we're playing Christmas music in the stores. But, Thanksgiving has passed, and Christmas is here.
It's here.
And now we can all enjoy it together.
Now I can get into it. And I'm not a Scrooge all season long.
No.
I love Christmas.
Yeah.
I just, I love it between that Thanksgiving to Christmas window, and I just want to pack in as much as I can there. And it's kind of special. But I must be getting soft in my old age, and so, she'll kick the radio over in the car, and we'll be listening to Christmas songs, or she'll pop in a CD or whatnot. And I've been letting it slide a little bit more this year.
And if I'm not mistaken, she even talked you into decorating the house a little earlier than normal.
Well, I'm decorating the house, period. Like we kind of, I've kind of always had this, like, I'm not into seasonal decorating, like we do the tree, and she's got, I don't think it's maybe quite what Stephanie has going on at your house. But yeah, and so like my family has always been like, hey, we want to do lights on the outside of the house. And I'm like, that's a lot of work, and it's only going to be up for, a few weeks or what. Yes,
Scrooge.
I know. But this year, you will be happy to know that we are getting lights on the outside of the house. And I started before Thanksgiving.
That's awesome.
So I told you, I'm getting soft.
You are.
So they're wearing me down.
Happy wife, happy life.
I know. All right, well, enough about us and enough about Christmas in our houses. Let's talk about Christmas at Mosaic. So we're kicking off a brand new series here at the church called Fear Not. And so let's talk a little bit about that series, Fear Not, and all things Christmas. Talk about that. Give us like a 30,000-foot view of this series, what we can expect from Christmas here at the church.
Yeah. I think most people, if you've been around church for a really long time, you've probably heard the statistic that the Bible uses this phrase, do not fear, sometimes somewhere around 365 times throughout the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so the Bible has a lot to say about the problem of fear in our lives. And I just got to be honest with you, I absolutely hate fear, and I hate what it does to people. I see people who struggle with things like fear of rejection and fear of failure. And I really do believe that those fears, they keep people from really being able to enjoy all that God would want for them in life. I think it keeps people living in the safe zone. I think it keeps people from accomplishing great things. I think it causes people to settle in life in places where they have no business settling.
Yeah.
And so years and years and years ago, I read a line, and it's probably a line in a book outside the Bible that has changed my life more than any other line in any other book. The author said this. He said, the reason that most people never accomplish anything great is because they never try anything where there's a real fear of failure. Mm. And for me, like that line caused me to go, Brandon, when there is a fear of failure, you have to push through it if you ever want to accomplish anything great. And that's just what I want for people. I want people to see that there's a reason God tells us not to fear, because fear really does hold us back. Yeah. And it keeps us from being able to live out what I believe is God's great plan for our lives. And so this is a series where we're going to be tackling fear and hopefully helping people have a faith that is bigger than the fears in their life.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you and I have talked a little bit about the content and the concept of this series. And so I think like each week we're going to be examining a piece of the Christmas story. We're going to be looking at some different characters or whatnot from the Christmas story in Scripture. So talk to us a little bit about that. Who are these characters that we're going to meet, that we're going to follow? We're going to hear their stories, and tell us what is significant about that and how it relates to this grander discussion on fear in our lives.
Yeah. So each week we'll be looking at a different segment of the Christmas story. You know, throughout the four Gospels that tell the life story of Jesus, they all kind of tell their story in a slightly different way. And so you can read these Gospels and you can see different elements of the Christmas story. And so there's one week when we're going to be looking at a guy named Zachariah, and we're going to be looking at the fact that God comes to him and God says to him, fear not. Then we go into Joseph and we look at Joseph's story. I mean, there's Joseph, and he's kind of surprised by what's happening. And
obviously.
Probably absolutely terrified about saying, man, you want me to spend the rest of my life with this woman? And I got all kinds of questions rolling through my mind right now. And God's like, yes, absolutely. And I don't want you to live in fear. You roll into, Mary's life, and probably a lot of people would look at her, and if you could step into her shoes and her situation, you would know that she had to be living with fear of what people were going to think, what people would say, and those fears can absolutely hold you back. And then finally, the last week of the series, we're going to be looking at the shepherds and how when God appeared to them, he said to them, like he said to Mary, like he said to Joseph, like he said to Zachariah, fear not. And so God is intervening in the Christmas story in human history, and he does it in such a way that's almost startling to people. Yeah. And that fear could actually keep them from being able to step into what God is doing in that critical moment of human history. And so God's saying, you cannot be afraid right now. Yeah. You've got to be able to move forward if you're going to be on board with everything I'm getting ready to do.
Yeah. Imagine what it would have looked like if any of those characters, because those characters are so important to the story of Christmas, the gospel story. You know what I mean? Like, think about what would have happened if they would have allowed fear to control that situation. Like, they could have altered everything.
It really could have.
It's crazy.
And not just for them, but for so many others in the history of the world. Yeah, for us. And so, fear is one of those things that really can have a negative effect on our lives. And so we got to be careful to live in faith, not let fear cripple us or hold us back.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay, so let's pivot the conversation a little bit. So Christmas is a lot like Easter, in the grand scheme of things, where folks are more likely to come to a Christmas service because it's Christmas and that's what you do. You go to church. Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about that. So what can we do as a church to be inviting our friends, our family, and be more intentional about this season that we're in, because we know that people are more inclined to accept an invite or something like that. So what can we do as a church to make sure that we're having those conversations and maybe even overcoming the fear of that conversation in our life?
That's a great point. Start by just saying, fear not. I think it's probably an unnecessary fear. A lot of people this time of year, they really are planning on going to church somewhere.
Yeah.
And if they don't ever go to church, they don't really care where they go. It's just kind of a traditional thing for them. And so don't be afraid of that conversation. And so what we'll do as a church is we always provide people with links that they can share, social media posts that they can share on their social media platforms, so that it's kind of easy to get the word out about what's happening and when our service times are going to be. But I would say this, nothing is as effective as a personal invitation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be awkward. It can be casual. It can just be, so what are you doing for Christmas? And as people start talking about their Christmas plans, going to any Christmas Eve services? And if they say, no, I hadn't really thought about it, you say, man, you should come check out ours. We have a big candlelight service on Christmas Eve.
That's
it's
great.
Totally cool. And in a casual, positive conversation, you can extend an invitation to someone that may introduce them to the person of Jesus and forever change their life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So let's talk specifically about Christmas Eve, because you mentioned like the candlelights and all that, and that made me think, Christmas Eve, like inviting folks to attend this series is important, but Christmas Eve is like a big deal here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal everywhere.
Yeah.
But let's talk specifically about, Christmas Eve here. So what is that schedule going to look like for us? Because it's a little bit different this year.
It really is. We're always kind of trying to juggle things with the calendar and the way, where does Christmas fall and where does Christmas Eve fall in relation to our regular weekend services. And so this year what we're doing is we've got our first Christmas Eve service on Thursday at 7:00. So we always have a Thursday night service at 7:00.
Right.
And so we thought, with Christmas Eve being on Friday, and we may not be able to get everyone into the 3 services that we'll do on Friday, let's go ahead and still offer the Thursday 7:00 option. Yeah. And that may help a lot of people, especially if they've got big family activities and, gatherings. I know my mom's family in Tennessee, they always get together on Christmas Eve.
Gotcha.
And then they can have kind of the big gathering on Christmas Eve. They can have the smaller, more intimate family gatherings in their own home on Christmas Day. So we want to be accommodating to those people. So we've got a Thursday night 7:00 option, and then we have 3 services on Christmas Eve, that Friday the 24th. And those service times are going to be, help me out,
2, 3:30,
and 5.
You got it.
I'll be here all day, so it doesn't really matter to me when they start, but you need to know when they start. And so those service times, again, will be 2, 3:30, and 5:00 on Friday.
And all 4 of those services, the Thursday and then the 3 on Friday, they're all identical, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same worship songs, same candlelight experience, same message. It's all completely identical. And Mo Kids activities.
Absolutely.
Especially for the little ones. And then I think Mo Kids is going to do a thing like they do every year where children, kindergarten and up, they will go into the service with their parents.
Gotcha.
Just so that there can be a family vibe and an experience as they come for Christmas Eve together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll have a Christmas Eve service on Thursday, and then we'll have Christmas Eve services, but all 4 services will be the same.
Completely identical.
Sounds awesome.
So just take your pick.
So with that being said, don't miss Christmas here at Mosaic. Don't miss a single week of our Fear Not series. It's going to be awesome. Remember, don't come alone. You're going to want to bring your family members, your coworkers, your friends, all of the above to sit with you during the series, but then also on Christmas Eve. It's going to have a lot of great info and really help us kind of overcome fear in our life. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. So remember, this is just a taste of what we're going to be discussing the month of December. So Brandon, we've got something really special planned. The last week of this series is going to be Sunday the 26th, which is the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what we've got going on Sunday the 26th?
Yeah, let me start by just telling you why it's going to be so different, because I want people to know my heart. I had a guy who was in the service this last weekend, and he said, "Oh, you're doing an online service on the 26th? So what's that mean? You're going on vacation, and so you got to do it online?" And that's not our intention at all. For me, part of the challenge that we're running into this year is when you have Christmas Eve services that are, they create a very busy schedule on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to turn around and create a completely different service with a different message, different worship set,
Right.
different band on Sunday. And the only day you have to get that ready is on Saturday. Which is Christmas Day. It doesn't work. And so we talked about it with our elders, and we said, hey, we got this idea, trying to figure out the best way to give people a great experience on the 26th.
Yeah.
And we said, we think the best way we can do it is by offering an online option. And they agreed. And so what we're doing is we're going to do online only on Sunday, December 26th.
That's awesome.
And so what we're doing is we're going to pre-record that service, and we're actually going off location. So I'm not going to say where, but it's going to be a really cool vibe, and it's going to simulate what you might be experiencing in your home as you're watching this service. And we're going to do an off-location record. And I got to tell you, I already wrote the message, or at least kind of like 75% of that message this week.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. As I got into that message and as I wrote it, talking about the shepherds, I was tempted to change the entire series and make that the Christmas Eve message, because I really do believe that the fear that the shepherds had is probably the greatest fear that every human being has. And I want everybody to hear it. And so my greatest concern right now, we're going to stick with Mary on Christmas Eve.
It makes sense.
It does kind of make sense. But I'm really asking you to make it a priority to sit down with your family.
Absolutely.
On Sunday, December 26th, and watch this service. If you don't have a family, invite some friends, gather together, sit down and watch this service, because this is a huge fear that holds so many people back in their life. And I really want people to hear this message so that they can get real clarity on why this fear is so problematic and how it's really destroying, I'll go ahead and throw it out there, every relationship that you have.
Wow.
And so I really want people to tune in for this one and join us online. I don't know what time we're going to start streaming that service. Do you?
I don't know either.
We'll probably go 9:30.
Yeah.
That's our normal service
9:30, 11, I don't know. We'll stream it around the clock because it's such an important message.
It really is. It's important to me. I think it's going to change people's lives.
Here's what I would say. I think a lot of people might hear something like, oh, well, they're not having church, so I'm not going to attend. But really, I mean, just hearing what you said about the message and where you're headed with the story of the shepherds and how it has the potential to impact so many people, if you miss that last week, you're really missing out on something really important.
And I really believe it's going to be one of those messages, after writing the bulk of it already, I think it's going to be one of those messages that's going to stir great conversations between you and anyone that you're watching it with.
Yeah.
Because this is something everybody struggles with. It's a real fear that is crippling so many people. And I would just say, especially if you have teenagers, this is probably a conversation where you as a parent need to be prepared to be a little bit transparent about how you've struggled with this fear in the past or in the present, and then hopefully let that stir up a conversation with your teenagers or your children so that you can get into their lives and help them work through their very real fears in a healthy way so that this fear doesn't paralyze them throughout their life.
Yeah. And that's a component of that message that we're working on, is like, coming on a typical Sunday or whatever, you would come into the service, you experience the worship, you would hear the message, and then you would leave.
Yep.
And then, maybe have a conversation over lunch or whatever. But I feel like part of what we're doing with this is we're being really intentional about creating that conversation piece so that as families are coming together and they're experiencing this online service and hearing the message or whatever, then there's a discussion guide component.
There is.
That will go along with that.
Yep. Our family life team has been working on that discussion guide component, putting it together. It'll all be digital so that you can just access it right there. And again, create a conversation just to help you. If you've got kids in the home, whether they're adult children or small children or teenage children, man, you can have a conversation with them so that they're not crippled by fear.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man,
it's gonna be great.
I'm excited. I'm excited about this whole series. I mean, like, we're kicking off the series. It's Christmas. It's going to be great. And then we have Christmas Eve, which is always a stellar experience here at Mosaic.
Yeah.
But then follow that up. It's almost like the encore is like this online service where we're tying a bow on the entire series with the powerful message, giving it to you in this really cool creative format online, and then giving you an opportunity to have an even deeper conversation with parents and teens.
I really believe this experience can be better than what you would normally experience if you come on a Sunday. And I'm going to say this because you're talking about all this stuff that kind of I've been working on.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to throw it out there for them. Wes has been working on a new set design, and he's been working on some special music for that Christmas Eve service that is going to be unbelievable. And
We're excited.
You don't just want to come because of the content of this series, man.
True.
You're going to want to come because it's going to be a really, really special experience.
The total package.
From beginning to end. It is. It is the total package. Wes is constantly sending us pictures of stuff that he's been working on, and it really is generating some excitement on our staff team. And so you guys are going to be really glad that you came for this series, beginning to end, not just Christmas Eve, not just an online thing, but as soon as this baby kicks off, man, you want to be here because there's going to be a lot of great stuff happening.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So don't forget, the Christmas series itself kicks off this week. Fear Not starts this weekend, Thursday at 7 p.m. or Sunday at 9:30, 11 like normal. And also don't forget, we've got our Christmas Eve services, which will be beginning on Christmas Eve, Thursday the 23rd at 7 p.m. And then we'll have 3 more identical services on Friday, December 24th at 2, 3:30, and 5. And we've already said it, but make sure that you're not coming alone. You're going to want to bring your friends, your family, coworkers, anybody that your neighbors, like anybody that you can talk to. Move past that fear. Fear not, like we're saying in the series. Have those conversations, make those invites, and bring folks with you. It's going to be awesome. And then don't forget, make sure that you're tuned in on Sunday the 26th for that special online service. Sounds like it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. You're excited. It's Christmas time. It's here.
If Scrooge can be excited, you can be excited.
Touché.
So it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Well, don't miss it. We are excited to kick this thing off, and we would love to see you this weekend. Thanks so much for sticking around for this episode. We will see you next time on The Loop. Have a great day.
You've been listening to The Loop, a podcast by Mosaic Church. For more information, visit us online at mosaicgc.com.